Dear students, welcome to the sixth online lecture of Principles of Economics course. And in this recorded lecture, we will explain the first part of chapter 4, which is entitled as Elasticity. This chapter is entitled as Demand and Supply, which means that we will discuss the market forces and how the interaction between the demand and supply determine the equilibrium quantity and equilibrium price. In the previous chapter, we have discussed the demand and supply and explained the factors that lead to a change in each of them. For example, we explained the law of demand that shows the negative relationship between the quantity demanded of a commodity and its price. So, if the price of the commodity increases, the quantity demanded should decrease. But the question is, how much the quantity should decrease? So we need a measure that tells us the degree of sensitivity of the quantity demanded to a change in the price. This measure is called the price elasticity of demand. So consequently, the current chapter started with the definition of price elasticity of demand and how we can compute the price elasticity of demand, and also explains the factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. Also in chapter 3, we have discussed how related goods such as substitutes and complementary goods affect the demand of the commodity. So we also need a measure that tells us about the degree of sensitivity of the demand to a change in the price of a substitute or a price of complementary. This measure is called the cross-elasticity of demand, which will be covered in current chapter, but we will explain this part in the interactive lecture. Also in chapter 3, we have also seen that income affects the demand. So current chapter explains the degree of sensitivity of the demand to a change in income, which is known as income elasticity of demand, which will be covered in the interactive lecture. And finally, we need also to see how the supply or how the quantity supplied will respond exactly to a change in price. So we need to understand the meaning of the price elasticity of supply, which is the final point in this chapter. Based on that, in this recorded lecture, we will focus on the price elasticity of demand, and the rest of the chapter will be covered during the interactive lecture. So now let's cover the first point of this lecture, which is the price elasticity of demand, which is a measure of the sensitivity or responsiveness of the quantity demanded to price changes. So it measures how strongly buyers respond to a change in the price. So we can use this measure to see how strong the impact of the price on the quantity demanded by assuming that all other factors are constant. Also, the price elasticity of demand is a unit-free measure of the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a good to a change in the price. And what is the meaning of a unit-free measure? It means that we don't say if the price increases by £1, the quantity demanded will decrease by 2 units, for example. But instead of using pounds and units, here we use percentages. So, for example, we can say that the price elasticity of demand is 3. This means that when price increases by 1%, then the quantity demanded decreased by 3%. So as I said, we express it using percentages, which is a unit-free measure. Now, how can we compute the price elasticity of demand? It can be explained using the displayed formula. PED, which stands for price elasticity of demand, equals percentage change in quantity demanded divided by percentage change in price. Or by using symbols, we can say that percentage delta Q divided by percentage delta P. Now, what is the meaning of percentage delta Q, or how we can compute it? Basically, it's the change in quantity or delta Q divided by the average quantity Q bar times 100. And how can we get Q bar or average quantity? We can get this by getting the sum of the two quantities and divide them by 2, as we will see now. Then, similarly, percentage change in prices equal delta P or change in price divided by average prices delta bar, P bar times 100, where we can get P bar or the average prices by getting the sum of the two prices and dividing them by 2, as we will see in the numerical example now. Now, let's use this example to clarify the idea. This graph shows us that the quantity demanded of the pizza, it changes in response to a change in its price. As we can see at the original point here, the initial price of pizza is $20.50, and the quantity demanded at this price is 9 pizza. Then, what happens if we have a decline in the price from 20.5 to 19.5? In this case, we will find that the quantity demanded of a pizza increases from 9 to 11 units per per hour. So now let's use the data in this example to compute the price elasticity of demand. Now, to compute the price elasticity of demand, we follow the following 5 steps. Number 1, we should compute the average price P bar, which equal P1 plus P2 divided by 2. And here, P1 is the first price, which equal $20.50, and P2 is the new price, which is $19.50. So here we get the sum of 20.5 plus 19.5 and divide them by 2. So average price equal 20. Then next step is to compute the average quantity demanded Q bar, and here Q bar equal Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2, and here first quantity is 9 and second quantity is 11. So Q bar equal Q1 plus Q2 divided by 2, which means that 9 plus 11 divided by 2. So average quantity equals 10 units, as shown here on the figure. So this is average price, and here this is average quantity. Now, the third step in this example is to compute the percentage change in the quantity demanded, percentage delta Q, which equal delta Q divided by Q bar that we have just computed in step 2. So here delta Q means the difference between the new and old quantity. So here new quantity is 11 minus the old quantity, which is 9, divided by the average quantity, which is 10. All this times 100. So here percentage change in quantity would equal 20%. Fourth step is to compute the percentage change in price, percentage delta B, which equal delta B change in price divided by the P bar. So here the new price is 19.5 minus the old price, which is, or the initial price, which is 20.5, divided by average prices, which is 20, and all of this will be multiplied by with 100. So here percentage change in price equal minus 5%. Now the final step is to compute the price elasticity of demand, which is the percentage change in the quantity divided by percentage change in the price that we have just computed in step number 3 and number 4. So here it equals 20% divided by 1%. So here price elasticity of demand is -4. Now the question is how we can explain this result, or what is the meaning of this number? Well, to comment on this result, we should focus on two issues, which are the sign and the value or the size of the elasticity. The price elasticity of demand is negative. Why? Because we know that price and quantity move in opposite directions. So when price increases, the quantity will decrease. So this negative sign just reflects the negative relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity demanded of the commodity, as we have explained in chapter 3. What about the value or the size of the elasticity? Here in elasticity, we focus on the absolute value of the result. So here we should focus on number 4, not -4. So what is the meaning of that? Price elasticity of demand on pizza equal 4. This means that when price increases by 1%, then the quantity demanded of the pizza will decrease by 4%. So now up to this point, we have defined the price elasticity of demand and how we can compute it and how can we investigate its sign and its size. So I will stop at this point, and in the interactive lecture we will cover the following points: the different degrees of the price elasticity of demand. Also we will talk about the relationship between the elasticity of demand and total revenues and the factors that affect the price elasticity of demand. Then we will talk about other types of elasticities, which are cross elasticity of demand and income elasticity of demand. And we will end this chapter by explaining the price elasticity of supply. So thank you for watching and see you next week.